moet heel veel wachten. Oh, we have to wait. Yeah, go
ahead. Good morning, and well, I'm luckily not the first one bearer of bad news, but the second one. No worries. Well, I'll try to end it on a world peace note. Yeah, just before the coffee break. Thank you for having me here, AMS-IX, and I was thinking how much of our DNA is intertwined with each other, because we are actually AMS-IX and NBIP. It's a part of a family. It's not even only cooperating on a normal basis as a partner. Just to make a little bit clearance on these nice abbreviations, NBIP, I think the biggest challenge in giving talks in a technical world is stay away from abbreviations, but we couldn't. NBIP is a not-for-profit organization which exists in the Netherlands for 20 years already. I am very proud and honored to be general director of this organization, who came to be by a unique initiative which stands still together on the main word which I heard a few times, which is cooperation. It's unique because its members are commercial organizations like you in this here, sitting here, and others, many others here and out and in Europe. And they take services from NBIP, thinking ahead of time, which was 20 years ago, we have a common problem. What if we would solve that together instead of trying to solve it by itself or by myself? And that's how that came to be. I will talk a little bit about how that evolved and how we've never cooperated maybe more than now. And we're only at the beginning of another huge opportunity to cooperate even more. It never stops. It's going on, and it changes with the time. So maybe cooperation is one of those things like communication. We should communicate better, you know? We should cooperate more. And the positive end of my talk would be, I'll give you a challenge to really actually be hands-on about it by the end of my talk. And I was just thinking, sitting in the chair, we should communicate more, we should cooperate more. I should have made it like, make a prize of a piece of cake of the first one trying to send me an email about how can we cooperate on this item. But let me talk about this DDoS attacks, which is one of our main, why am I standing here talking about DDoS attacks? Because one of the services of NBIP is delivering mitigation services to the community. Again, a big thank you, and I think it stands for AMS-IX, how they came to be, from what community they are, and how they supported us from the very beginning of this mitigation center, which exists for 10 years and more. So that's another proof of how you can do big things together. In talking about this, let's start with the news. You know, those news that we keep hearing, seeing. And I think I had to actually pick a few of these. What's happening with DDoS attacks, I think, because they are so in your face, it's the end user who always gets hit eventually when something happens. It's also part of the news, already out in the public, even before you want or you know it. And we just took you know, it's 25 years of what it's been going on, and I think, you know, cyber world has always, I mean, the online world has always been a mirror of what is happening in the real world. And I will tell you and show you that it's happening right now, and that we've been through a whole bunch of, a big time chunk of world peace or relatively peace in this part of the world, in which we could like go on with our lives and not worry too much, and that image is changing, and I don't have to give a talk about that because we all know that. This is just a few items which have been going on. I remember, and I still remember when I came to NBIP in 2017, DDoS was still in the area. I mean, my idea about DDoS in that area was like, you know, it's going on in the gaming industry. It's a lot of script kiddies, you know, who don't want to take their exams, and they just DDoS their school online areas and so on. Let me tell you, it still happens. But that changed a lot during these times. And I think a turning point, at least for us in the Netherlands, was the year 2018, when we got hit by a DDoS attack, and it was huge. It was, I think, one of the first times when the government and a lot of depending agencies of the government, including banks, was hit in a way in which was really disruptive for the public. And then, you know, all kind of things happened. Dutch tax authority, you know, everybody was talking about big things. The Russians are coming. What is happening? And it turned out they weren't. It was a teenager running DDoS attacks from his attic. And they actually got him just because he couldn't help but brag on an online forum about it. That was the world where we lived in. And the problem with these kind of things is, first, it just seems to take down a bit the urgency of what is happening. Oh, it's not this guy. We got him. What else can happen? But at that point, I remember NCIC, our National Cybersecurity Center, and a few other providers and partners in the market got together and said, well, whatever happens, this should be the last time when we have this big disrupting thing going on because of a DDoS attack. What can we do to step up on that cooperation? This big word which we're using, it is big, because there is a lot of problematic things which lie beneath it, and I will tell you a little bit about that. What can we do to step up this to upgrade this cooperation? What we did at that moment in time, we organized the Anti-DDoS Coalition, which is a Dutch initiative, again, of a broad group of partners working together to actually exchange specific knowledge about DDoS attacks. What can you do to defend yourself? What can you do at the front end? And how can we bring this further? Talking about drills and testing your scenarios. As a coalition, we actually do a real-life testing and drill scenario of the Dutch infrastructure. There are a lot of those partners here in this room, and I want to thank you again, because I can tell you there is a lot of effort going into there. It's only based on volunteering to bring in your knowledge, which is huge. So this is the brighter side of what we're doing. But from there, something really happened into the DDoS landscape, and that is that we knew that this would happen. I mean, we said, well, the time will come when every single device in this, which is connected to the internet, will be a pawn on an attack. And then the Mirai network, botnet network, came to be. And I'm sorry to tell you, it never really disappeared. It's still, it's like Hydra with many, many, many heads. And it just comes and goes all the time. It's still out there on the internet being used for DDoS attacks. And one of the things that also changed in the meanwhile was that DDoS attacks in the last 15 years also are a commodity. You just buy them. You don't need any kind of knowledge to be able, like the guy who took down actually the Dutch infrastructure was actually a smart guy. He actually made some attacks. It was a script kiddie, but the time is gone, because these guys are not attacking themselves anymore, but are putting their product out there on the internet. So those attacks who were fabricated there are being bought on an as-a-service basis and used for this kind of thing. used for a really disruptive way, in an activistic way, to disrupt infrastructures. Just to show you a little bit of, so DDoS as a service services are out there. You don't even have to go on the dark web for that. You just buy them, use them as you go, and you get real-time, real-life support, help desk, and whatever you need to be able to deliver that service. Just to show you a little bit how that landscape changed, I think talking about 10 years ago or 15 years ago, talking about 350 GPS on an attack was something that it sounded a little bit like science fiction. We're talking about terabytes at this moment. I think you've seen maybe the latest news on this from commercial parties in the market who published about mitigation terabytes of DDoS attacks at the same time. Why? Because the infrastructure is there, because the attacks fabricated are there, and because, yes, all these devices are connected to the internet. So yeah, we do live in that future which we've foreseen, and how do we go on about it? We see this, I think, at any given time, if we would open a news item, you would find this. And I just wanted to do a little bit of, just go back to one of the last speakers. Yes, one of the questions we get asked all the time, how can you, do you know who is doing it? And I can tell you attribution is the most tricky thing in DDoS mitigation, and we don't do that. We do work together with the police within this broad coalition which have. We do work together with NCIC. We deliver the threat intelligence we see and we can. But yeah, attribution, it's hard. And the question is, okay, so how should we respond? Where are we at? Are we just, like sitting duck, sitting there and seeing what it's come onto us and see how we can react to that? By raised question in our parliament, was this the answer? That's a harmless DDoS. Oh, it's really, it's a nuisance that your website is down. Well, it depends on who you're asking. Maybe if you ask the ones who couldn't log on into their medical system to make an appointment and to get their operations on, maybe it's not a nuisance, but it's a real life-threatening thing. So, no, this isn't the way to look at it, because the more you downsize, and again, it's a hard thing, because again, I'm telling you, we are a not-for-profit organization. All the things we publish, we try to keep it as much as transparent as we can, and we never published anything just for the sake of building up business. People who know us longer know that we have this saying that our main mission is to, become obsolete. By the time, if we're not needed anymore, then all the DDoS attacks are gone, and then we just plug the plug, pull the plug. But we're not there, and I foresee that we wouldn't be there yet for a while. So we're not trying to make, to get anybody scared. I loved the first sheet of Peter, which was good things happening in the world. And also on this side, good things are happening. But we still need to do what we do and upgrade our game. One of the things that impact on those seems so casual or not so big is because we're doing a lot of things on protecting our infrastructure. It's because we are doing the drills. It's because we are working together and sharing this knowledge all the time at the background, because we are investing a lot in knowledge and all the things it's needed to do mitigation. But I think we should step up that game. We should upgrade that game. If there was ever a time when we can't work alone on ourselves and just sit on that island and think we are okay, it's now. So I think we should be aware of what DDoS landscape is about these days, and it's about disrupting the infrastructures and all the services that could be that are available. There was a time a few years ago when we did see like a more of a quiet of time, but that's not there. As I said, the online world, it's a mirror of what's happening in the real world. So the quiet times are gone for a while. And my call to you is, what if we would upgrade this game and we reframe this DDoS resilience as a responsibility on an European level? And what if we build a DDoS defense network? I remember, Alex was at the beginning of the first talks we had with AMS-IX a long time ago. What if we work together? What if you know, and I know it's all kind of different and difficult things to talk about are you going to build up a firewall or a defense or whatever? No, but we should upgrade the technical cooperation on a European level. We talk about APIs, about what if we have a DDoS response center who is actually available 24/7, which you can call. I mean, I can tell you that bad guys don't really sleep. We do have a 24/7 call service. What if we actually are dedicating and actually funding development of critical infrastructures on a European level? What we're doing now from our position as NBIP, we are part of an European project, which is the IPSAI MESD. We are working very hard to develop a distributed network into the European edge. This is for now. I know internet doesn't stop at the European borders. I know that we're all in it in a big world-wide internet. But for us, for now, it's, what if we look at Europe and see how can we distribute this network which we have there and work together on that level? What you need for that, and what we need for that, and our call also to our own government is, we need co-funding for these European projects. We need to be aware that every single euro which we invest into a European project, it has to be co-funded by someone else, because for our position, we are a not-for-profit. We don't have huge margins, so every single euro we earn, we are reinvesting into development. But on everything, coming back to that question, does the government has a role in what is happening? Yes, I agree with Peter all the way. Firstly, also supporting us to be able, also financial, to participate in this European project, which are very important for we're at a key moment in the European infrastructure. And I'm not saying that things will change right away. I'm not saying that one thing will make it all, but we are at a momentum in which people are readily and able to work to make something new in Europe. And of course, just preaching to the choir, to myself, about believing into this coalition on a European level. One of the things I mentioned in the beginning, when we first came together in 2018 as a coalition, of course you can interchange knowledge and what do you see on your network or what is happening or on that level. We still do that all the time. But one of the things we wanted to do is make something tangible. What if we have something which is technical? We're all technical boys and girls. We want technique to work for us. We like what we're doing. So one of the things which this coalition, which was birthed a long time ago as an idea, what if we would have a DDoS fingerprinting database? What if we actually, all the technical things we see happening on the traffic, DDoS attacks, because I can tell you also on a DDoS attack level, some people are lazy, even the attackers, and there's a lot of repetition there. It's not like you see patterns of happening, you can understand them, and that's the way, for example, like our scrubbing works. We understand the patterns in the beginning, and we know that what is happening at that moment in time. So coming back, what if we would have a DDoS fingerprinting database in which everybody who has this kind of, and I'm not talking about knowledge, it's about technical data, would be shared into that database and can be made available for everybody to use, because everybody needs to understand the same thing. It's more like, like a long time ago, but I remember the virus databases with their signatures, yeah? We know which they are, the same in ransomware. And we did. That's the good news. I would end up on a good news note, yeah? That we did. We have a DDoS database running. We funded that together as a coalition and also with the help of European funding for a little bit. And it's there. It's sitting there. It's available. It's an open source and an open framework. We host that for everybody who is able and willing to share that kind of technical information with us. And I will just, because Reggie said before the coffee, and just stay awake a little bit. How many fingerprints you think are in there at this moment in time? It's there for 1 year online already. How many? Someone else? 10,000, 1 million? More? Less? 0. I'm sorry to disappoint you, but the only way to be able to share this data is to actually have the data on your fingertips. And again, just to touch a little bit of this very difficult discussion which we heard before, a lot of our members don't have the data of the community, don't have that data at the fingertips, because the data sits in systems out there in the cloud and they don't even know anything about it. It's outsourced. That's another thing about what is digital sovereignty. How much do you know what's happening on the traffic basis? The bright side of this, we are contributed as a mitigation center to the database. Our next step is to contribute. We have around 300 fingerprints available. We will upload it to it and make it available. It's a difficult thing, because the thing is, how open do you want to make this database? What if it's going to be misused? Which partners can participate and can actually extract those fingerprints and use it in the right way? I know it's complex, but it's the only way to actually start working on a broad and open and transparent way of changing and interchanging this kind of data. And yeah, it's a challenge. For more of the part of it, it's a legal thing. Am I able to upload this kind of data, which is transit data from my customers? But also, it's a hands-on technical thing. Do I have this data available to be able to participate in this database? But my challenge, which I don't have a piece of cake for, is the first one who really thinks can challenge, send me an email on this email, and we will make it work, because we are very eager to collaborate with anybody who thinks and is willing to be able to help us further in this big thing we're working at. Thank you.
Octavia, thank you very much. We have a question from the audience over Mentimeter. If other people have questions too, we'll get to that later. The question is: do you think that ISPs should get more? Do you think that ISPs should get more opportunity to defend against DDoS, and therefore net neutrality should change?
Net neutrality should change because I don't see the connection between how defending yourself would change something of the net neutrality. But
let's see if who was the person asking this question? Are you willing to raise your hands? I don't see.
Out in the open.
Oh, they're all the way in the corner. Jochem, can you go all the way at the door, at the entrance?
Oh, he's fleeing. He's fleeing.
Oh, look, we have a microphone there. Oh, can the microphone be turned on, please? No? Working on it. We have another microphone. We have a backup.
With net neutrality, ISPs are not allowed to look into the packages, and therefore they are not able to see what's in it. And with DDoS, there are some in-house in the message, and if they can see into the messages, they are able to defend against DDoS. But currently, with the law, it's not possible.
Yeah. There is a little bit of truth in that. I'll come to that. But the main answer is you do not have to inspect packages to be able to defend DDoS. We don't do that per definition, and we mitigate, as you saw, gigabytes of DDoS attacks. There is some kind of... So there are solutions to mitigate without inspecting the packages. There is some kind of DDoS attacks, like on layer 7 application level, which needs packet inspection for that. There are solutions for that as well. It does take a lot of trust, again, to be able to run those kind of solutions. We are working, just a little bit of a technical thing, we are working on a part of solutions in which we actually look at the meta information of that package and understand that there is, without looking to the package, understand that it's a layer 7 attack instead of a layer 3 or 4. So we can mitigate it in other means by using this kind of fingerprints, actually, and by using patterns which see happening. So it's a bit of a, it's a difficult more. First answer is, the good news is you don't need to inspect every package to mitigate. The second is there are a few, there is a rise on very complex attacks, which are not huge, sometimes only a few MBs, and are very disrupting on an application level. And that's a challenge we're looking towards working to develop.
Okay, does that answer your question? Yeah. Are there any other questions from the audience?
Yes, I have a question.
Yeah.
Because you mentioned that...
I'll wait for the microphone, Jan. No, that's here in the front.
So you mentioned the fingerprints, which are now 0, but you expect to have more of them because. And the question I have is, can we predict these attacks? Because I have a feeling now that it's all like, you know, it's coming to you like the weather, which you can predict, but we cannot predict it, can we?
No.
And is there a way we can predict it? Is there technology, will be there technology we can predict it?
You know, I think maybe if you take the analogy of the weather, it's very good. I think the weather services are very, very well developed in prediction of like hurricanes, and all kind of storms. But can you actually? But you still have to prepare for that. They can't stop it. If it's coming, it's coming. So in that way, we can predict in the ways we can see where is it coming from, which part of the world they are coming from. We can predict. We can see what kind of attacks there are, and then one of the main goals of this kind of that fingerprints is that to be able to have a bit of a front line You know, so don't get everything inside before looking at it, but being more advanced into first or second line defense. It works the same way as in a lot of other defense stories. So yeah, we can predict it, but that doesn't mean that you can stop it. You can defend, and you can take measurements for that. Yeah.
Next question.
Gary Javadjan, AMS-IX NOC. I was wondering, with the advancement of technologies, automation, powerful silicons, AI, do you see any shift in the defend-attack balance from your perspective?
Yes. Yes. If you were ask me what we are the first thing we would put our money on in the next funding, if we get it, would be on AI and automation of these huge amounts of traffic. There is no way you can still process that by the means we have now. So pattern recognition, which we did here by standard means, you know, we would step up that game on pattern recognition systems and what are we seeing and how do we recognize that before getting to our systems. Yeah.
So unfortunately, this is all the time we have. Otherwise, we get really behind schedule. If you have questions, you'll be here, I guess, for a bit longer. So please find Octavia. We're going to go for a quick coffee in a bit. But for now, thank you, Octavia, very much.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Octavia de Weerdt.